Hello and welcome everyone. This is Michael Langdon, the Learning Engineer, and today I'm going to show you how you can make a JavaScript Scorm application. Now if you're wondering, what's a Scorm application? Well, a Scorm application is a program that you can load into a learning management system like Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, whichever one is Scorm compatible. But I know that they will load into Blackboard and Moodle for sure. And you can basically create your own applications that can be used in these learning management systems. I became interested in this because I realized that a lot of the tests and quizzes that I do and have created in Blackboard, for example, look a lot like paper versions of these tests and so on. And I really wanted to harness the power of JavaScript and all of that to create an application that wasn't just like a piece of paper and you pick A, B, C, or D. So that was my first goal, and this is basically what I came up with. Now this is a combination of a quiz application that I found on the site medium.com, I want to say, but I've changed it so much that I'm not even going to mention it because it's not even close to being the same application. It had like multiple choice. It was more like a paper one. It had multiple choice. The only thing similar between mine and that original one that I saw was the fact that on mine, like the other one, each individual question comes up on the screen one at a time. So that's the only place where they're similar. Otherwise, they're completely different. Mine is probably closer to the copy edit this quiz featured in the New York Times. This is really what I was going after, was something like this. So basically, the difference between mine and the copy edit this is that I don't have them all on one page. It goes one at a time. So what you did here is basically you looked at this sentence and then you had to just click on the mistake. Okay. So while reporting at Sweetwater's chimpanzee sanctuary in Kenya, a chimp stole Sam Walson's 360 camera. Now if you're unfamiliar, the mistake here is very straightforward and simple. It's a dangling modifier, or a misplaced modifier. So basically, while reporting at Sweetwater's chimpanzee sanctuary in Kenya, because of the word reporting, this is basically an adjective phrase. The problem is that it's right next to chimp, so it makes it sound like the chimp is reporting at Sweetwater's chimpanzee sanctuary and not Sam Walson. So what we would want to say is something like, while Sam Walson was reporting at Sweetwater's chimpanzee sanctuary in Kenya, a chimp stole his 360 camera. So as you can see, so this is what I want, and then if you just click on chimp, or I believe if you clicked on reporting, it would give you the correct answer. It would say yes, that's the correct answer. Okay? So that's basically how this one works, and that's basically what I came up with here. So if I click on Start Quiz, so you'll notice when this first popped up, there's this pop-up box here, and I click Start Quiz. Okay? And then if you do the same thing here, so this is subject-verb agreement, is the problem right here. Okay? When I do that and it's correct, it says correct, and it's got like a green background, and then it gives you an explanation of your answer. Okay? And then down here is a link that the student can click on if they want to learn more. So if I click on this, you can see it comes up to that. Okay? And then I can click next question. Now the problem here is that this whole application is created for Scorm, and what that did is just tell me that it's not saved because it's looking to save it in the Scorm. So that's the problem going here. Now I'm going to show you how it would work in a Scorm. So I've already gotten up Scorm Cloud here. Scorm Cloud is a site, I'm using the free version right now, where I can upload my Scorm courses to and basically test them out. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here where I have my Scorms actually stored. Here they are. And what I'm going to do is just, I selected this all. I'm going to right click. I'm going to click send to and compressed file. It's going to create a file called index.zip. And then when I come back to here, let's see, where is it? Where to go? Oh, there it is, add content, I'm sorry. So I'm going to import a Scorm. And then I'm just going to, I'm going to get the file here first. So I need this first. So browse. Now I'm going to click import course. Okay, so here we have the course sandbox. So now, if I go launch, it will launch it, and you'll get to see it. Well, it's gonna. I have to click it again because it says I'm blocking pop-ups, but I'm not. So basically, here's the logo for this quiz. You're to read the passage and then locate the grammatical error by clicking on the word involved. If it involves a phrase or clause, you only need to click on a word or phrase in the phrase or clause. You get 3 attempts at each passage. Your score and place are saved when you move on to the next question. So I click Start Quiz. So that pop-up was made with a JavaScript library called SweetAlert 2. Okay. So here we go. So your health and safety is our main concerns when it comes to developing policy that affects public health. So the problem with this is that our subject is health and safety, which is a plural because 1 plus 1 is 2. So our verb should be are our main concerns, not is our main concerns. So I would click on is, boom, tells me it's correct, gives the explanation, gives the link. I click next question and you'll see it automatically saves it. Okay. None of the contestants want to get in a cage with a hungry tiger, and the tiger doesn't seem to be too happy about it. You can see if I click on something else, and it tells me it's incorrect. It tells me how many attempts. Next question. Mean. Okay. Next. Now, if I just click on here and leave, you'll see that it tells me that the completion is incomplete. I didn't succeed at it. It's failed now. But if I click launch again, you'll see that it picks up right where we left off. Okay. So let me just do a few more of these. And if I want to, I could just literally just click next question, because basically you get them wrong if you don't answer them. And we'll finish up like the last couple of these. And then, so if I go next question, so I got 60 out of 100, 60%, game over. And what it does is it automatically leaves. It gives you 3 seconds basically. Okay. So here you can see it's complete. I failed. The score is 60%. If you get an 80% or above, then it says succeeded. Okay. Now if I want to go again, I just click launch again and launch course, and we're back at it again. So this is how this works. So as you can see, it works really nicely, and it's much more closer to what like something that a student would be editing would be, because the first thing they have to do is identify the problem of a passage. And in most tests for writing, you get like 4 sentences and which one's right. Well, editing doesn't work like that. So that's why I made this application, so that it would be closer to what actually the student is going to be doing if they edit. So why don't we take a look at the insides of this guy so you can get an understanding of what's going on. Okay, so, and what I'm going to do is this first video is just going to be me giving you an overview. So if you took all the files from this web address right now and you zip them up and you put them into a Scorm like an LMS like Blackboard or Moodle, it would work. Okay, so that's why the way I've designed it. Because if you notice, if I click on this and I go like this, it says not saved. So that means it's going to work right out of the box. So the first thing, of course, I have my fonts that I got from Google. Okay, so that's the first thing I got. I've done here. Okay. For the rest of this, actually, I'm going to go to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to close this and close this, and I'm going to come down to where I have this, and I'm just going to double click on the index file. Okay. So this first part here, of course, like I said, this is my Google Fonts. I could put these in the CSS file if I want. Then the first script is the JavaScript for the Scorm API wrapper.js. This is currently available publicly. I couldn't find a CDN for it. So if you just do a Google search for this, you will find it. And then I do have a script CDN code for jQuery. So this is a remote script, obviously. And then I also have one for SweetAlert 2. Then I have my JavaScript file. And then lastly, the style sheet. Okay. So in the body, I have lots of divs. The first one, the ID, is the save indicator. This is this. Let me refresh this. It's this guy right over here. You'll see it. There it is. So that's it right there. Then I have a divider, but then I have the score, the question box, okay, the progress bar. So this is all the progress bar. Then I have sentences. This is where the sentences in the question go. This tells you whether or not the answer is correct or incorrect. This provides the explanation for the answer, and this provides that link. Now I did put a line break here. I don't know if it's necessary, but I put one there anyways. Then we have a button, a divider with a class button, an ID of next question, and a label of next question. Then we end our two dividers. So this divider here is here, and this divider here is here. And then finally we have a footer, and that's where that text goes, and that's the end of it. So it's pretty simple HTML. So the next thing we're going to look at is the CSS styling. So the first thing I have is the root with the default background color, the default font size. And with the font size in the root, if I change this number, then it changes all my font sizes. So that's one of the nice things about it. Now, I'm not an expert on CSS, so my CSS could possibly have some redundant areas. So I will, at some point in time, I will clean it up. But this is what it looks like now. So we have the question box. That's where everything is located. We have sentences. We have correct, incorrect. We have the explanation and the link. We have the words. Now, when we did the HTML, you'll notice that there was nothing labeled words, and there was no class labeled words. Well, that's because those words are taken from the JSON file, and let me just show you what they are. These are the words right here. So when the thing first builds, they're not there, and they're going to be added. Excuse me. And then, of course, what does it do when it hovers over them? And you can kind of see it turns to a pointer, they have a shadow, they turn red, so on. This is the CSS for the My Progress bar. For My Progress and the bar down below it. Then we have the score. So this is the score up here. This is the progress bar here. One's a label, one's a obvious bar. Then of course the score, which I just showed you that. Then the save indicator, which I showed you that as well. That's in the upper left hand corner. And it's either green or red. Then we have our button information, our button hover, our button disabled. And then we have our pop-up container. That's the first thing that comes up when we load the program. This guy here. So then we have to basically style that. So we have the container, the pop-up, the title, then content. So all of these, and you can see everything's in rems for as far as the font sizes and a lot of the sizes, because what rems allow you to do is that if I wanted to, I could go back to root and I could say if the screen size is this, change the root font size to this. So that's a way of making adjustments depending upon the screen size. Then we style the logo image. That's this guy right here. Then we style the quiz button right here, the confirm button. And then we have the footer, which is right down here. Okay. Oh, whoops. This is what I want. Okay. So we've gone over the source code, the HTML. Now we've done the style sheet. Now we're going to look at the quiz, the JavaScript file for quiz. We don't need to look at these three because these are already set. I don't have to write anything in them. So I have two constants. I have a points per answer and then a number of attempts. So the points per answer is basically setting how many points do you want to give the person for each correct answer. And then how many attempts do they get when they're clicking. Num question is 0, that's the question number. Let split word array. This will hold the words in it. Split or answer array splits the answer into it. Explanation text is the text for the explanation. Total possible points, how many points when it's all added up is that going to be. Then score total. Attempts. So this is your running score, the number of attempts available. Well, no, this is the number of attempts taken per quiz item. The bar width is the percentage the completion bar will be at. The percent correct, the percentage of questions answered correctly. And everything is very explained out in the text. So when we get to these calls, these are for the Scorm. Okay. Let Scorm equal pipeworks.scorm, that's the Scorm initializer. Call succeeded, that tells it if it gives a callback to tell if it worked. So once we're done setting up all of our variables, I'm coming down here and then it says document ready. So this is, I'm using jQuery. I love jQuery. I love working with it. It's very easy to use. It's very simple. I don't know why people have moved away from it. I think that people don't like its simplicity and they want to pretend like they're better programmers because they're using a more complicated program. I just think that all of that is dumb. So I use jQuery. So document ready. So this is what it does. So we've already initialized the Scorm right here. So this is the initializer. Now could I have put it down here? Yes, I could have. It doesn't matter. And then Scorm version. And then call succeeded, Scorm.initiate. So initializes the Scorm. And then the first thing it does is it says, hey, Scorm get this suspend data. Okay. Now if there's nothing there, it's going to come out null. Okay, so then it says down here, if this variable equals null, then do this. Okay. And it sets the null data to the number 0, because the problem is that this saves text. It does not save numbers. So when I pull something out of it, I have to convert it into a number for it to work properly. And believe me, if you don't do this, it doesn't work. So if it's null, then I'm going to set it to 0. If it's not null, that means we left off on something, but I still need to convert this from a string to a number. Then it says, if this variable NIDX is greater than 0, then get this other information and do this other stuff. So get the raw score, take the raw score and times it by 100, because the raw score is a decimal point. Okay. And then the num question equals NIDX. So the question number that we're on at that time equals that NIDX variable. Next up, we have the window on before unload function, and this runs when we want to close our window. Okay. And it really, all it does is a quit, and then it does a return. Did you remember to save your answers? It does not give this, but if you do the return, it does then say, are you sure you want to leave? Okay. So the quit is when you tell the Scorm that you're quitting, that's really what triggers it to save. Okay. Then we have the get JSON. So this gets all of the information that our quiz is going to use, like the sentences that they have to read, the explanation for the correct answer. So all of our really our test data is coming from the JSON file, and we'll look at that next. So that's what this is doing. Okay. And what it's doing is it's taking this data and it's just pushing it into this variable items. And then it says run the new question function, which is the very next function. Okay. So function, new function. And so basically this first part, it's just setting the correct, incorrect, the HTML in it to blank, and to make sure the background color is yellow. Because remember, the correct, incorrect button or divider or div tag changes its color depending upon whether or not you got it correct, whether you got it incorrect, and now we're just changing it back to its default color, which is yellow. Then under sentences, explanation, and link in the HTML, we're getting rid of everything inside of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this array, so this is a variable for an array, and we're going to pump these into it. Okay. So what it's doing is it's taking all of the JSON information from items num question, and it's taking the sentence entry, and it's going to split every word along a space. So everywhere there's a space, they're going to split that word out and push that one word into an array. And it's going to do the same thing with the correct answer. It doesn't need to do the same thing with the explanation because it doesn't need to be split. Same thing with the link. Then it wants you, so this is the split word array, and so what it's doing here is it's saying take the split word array, and for each item in the split word array, run the split sentence function, which is right below it. So for every item in the array, do this function. So this is what this function does, is it takes what's in the array, it's going to append it to the sentences div, and it's going to add this information, one of which is going to be the ID index. So the ID becomes the index of that item in the array. Okay, then it does the score, then it's doing the bar width. Okay. Here's the actual stuff to set the bar width. That's the progress bar. Then we're going to turn on the words. We're going to say, as far as the words in the sentence are concerned, turn them on so that it's now clickable, so I can click on them. Now, if I do click on them, this is what I want you to do. I want you to say this variable equals this ID of the item that I clicked on. So, like for example, when I come back here and I click on it, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4. So if I click on this, it's going to get the ID, which is 4 for this one. Okay. So it gets the ID, and it says split answer array includes check ID. So does what's in the array for the correct answer, does it contain that ID number? And if it does, then do this. Score total equals score total plus points per answer. Change the correct incorrect background color to green because that's correct. Literally put the word correct in there. Change the score. Provide the explanation of the correct answer because you got it right. Provide the link. And then, because you got it correct, we need to turn off the fact that the words are clickable. So now that I got this right, you'll see that it hovers, it does all this, but if I click, it doesn't do anything. It's because it's been turned off. Okay. Now, if the split answer array doesn't includes this, do this. So then if it doesn't, so this else means if it doesn't, do this. So basically counts the attempts, sets the correct incorrect background color to pink because that's what it does for incorrect. Then tells you that it's incorrect, tells you how many attempts out of how many you have. And then it says if number of attempts is equal to attempts. So basically what I'm asking here is the number of attempts that he's allowed equal to the number of attempts he's taken. And so when it is, so if I've given you 3 attempts and you've taken 3 attempts, then do this. So you say it's incorrect, you provide an explanation, and again you turn the words off and you reset the number of attempts to 0. Okay. So now we're going to have some num questions. So this is the next part of this code is for the Scorm. So I take this num question variable and I just make it equal to number of question. It's the same thing. I could probably not even use this num quest, but I'm trying to separate out my Scorm stuff from everything else, so that if you get rid of the Scorm stuff, it's not going to affect anything. So let the raw score equals the score total divided by 100. Then set the score, so Scorm set, and it tells it to set the raw score. Like question num, excuse me, equals Scorm set suspend data num question. So that's where it went off, where it left off. That's the last question. Set score saved to Scorm saved. If set score save is true, meaning it did in fact save, then do this. So basically do that box up in the upper left hand corner. So it's going to flash green. It's going to flash fade in at 100 milliseconds and then fade out at 1,000. So it's coming in at like 1/10 of a second and it's leaving at a whole second. Again, num question equals num question plus 1, so it adds number 1 to the num question number because it's moving forward. Okay. And then we have the function for game over. So if you get to the 100% on the progress bar, then the game is over, and this is what it should do. It should figure out the percent score. It should let the raw total equal the score total divided by the total possible. That's going to give you that decimal point number. Okay. Then it's going to clear the link. It's going to do something with the correct incorrect. It's going to bring up the score. The explanation provides you the % correct. And the next question button, just hide it. So then basically it's going to say call succeeded, because it wants to know if it worked. And that's what that's doing. Okay. If the raw score total is greater than 0.8, call succeeded, Scorm set, success stated failed. So if they get under an 80%, they failed. If they get above, so basically anything else, they would pass, and we go above fail. And then Scorm quit, and then set timeout for basically 3,000 milliseconds or 3 seconds. So basically, once your item has quit and saved, then it will close shop. Okay. So then we have some more code. So we have next question on click. So if you click the next question button, that's on. There's a score again, and then the next question, click attempt, function. So basically what it does is it says attempts, and then it says if the bar width is equal to 100%, then run game over, otherwise we're going to do new question again. And then below is the code used for the Sweet Alert JavaScript library to establish that document. Okay. So you can set the title, the HTML, close button, focus, confirm, and so on. And now finally, what we really want to see too is the Json file. And that's under JS JavaScript. And here's the Json file. And the Json file is just an array or a database. And as you can see, it starts out with brackets, and then it goes to curly cues. The first part of it is a label. So this is my sentence label. Okay. So you put it in quotation marks, put your label, and then outside of the quotation marks you put colon and then your sentence. Correct answer? It has a 4 as a number. Okay, and let me show you what this number means. So when we start an array starts with 0, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can have more than one answer. So if I wanted to, I could have 4 and 5. Okay, that's how I would do that. You just put a space between that. And then you have the explanation, and then the link. And then you end this entry here with the other curly bracket, and then you put a comma, and then you start your next entry. So that's how the JSON file works. And again, all this information is there for you to see. And then finally, you need to know about the manifest. This is another file that you need to have for the Scorm to work. You don't need this for it to work on a website, but you do need it to work for the in the learning management system. And what I do is I just pull like where it says Learning Engineer. Whoops. So Learning Engineer. So everywhere you see Learning Engineer and a title, you can just change that. The important part of this manifest is really this part down here, your resources part. Every file that you have in the Scorm has to be shown here. Okay. I think. I'm not sure though. But yeah, basically you have to tell them which files, and you can just change this to whatever you need. Anywhere you see my information, like Learning Engineer, you just change to what you want it to be. And where there's a title, here's the title, you can change that whatever you want to be. Okay? So you can just kind of go through this and see what's going on. So yeah, there's a lot of it is redundant. That's pretty much known, so don't worry about it. The really important part is this here. Just make sure that every file you have in that zip file is also in here as well. Okay? And that's it for today. So this is my JavaScript program for Scorm. Of course, you can use it. You're free to use it. The only thing I ask is that you give me credit for it. So have a great day. Bye.